Cyberspace has emerged as an indispensable domain for individuals, businesses, and governments. Many economies use the internet for provisionary of critical services such as governments, financial transactions, the supply of electricity, water, and delivery of goods and services in almost all sectors. As cyberspace is used to control, process, share, collaborate, and communicate information, it is now a vital infrastructure of the 21st century. Consequently, its disruption can cause countries' economy and institutions to grind to a halt. Cyberspace is now critical to every nation's socio-economic, cultural, and political activities. When it is disrupted or fails, a country may experience strong adverse effects. On the contrary, its correct functioning and applicability is transforming modern society with exceptional pecuniary and social benefits. With many activities increasing moving to the internet, cyberspace has become a new stage for innovations, enterprise, social networking, criminality, and war. Joining us in the studio to discuss more on this is a cyber expert and analyst, Oluwajimi Aliyu Akitunde. You're welcome to Business Track.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, let's start by having you explain to us what inspired you to focus on venture capital in this emerging region.
Oh, okay, so venture capital is one of the most needed sectors, I feel like, especially within emerging regions, because it helps fund ideas at its earliest stage. A lot of people want to build stuffs, a lot of people know how to build stuffs, but they lack the adequate structure as well as resources to build stuffs efficiently. Hence where venture capitalism comes in at its core. You help provide that necessary infrastructure as well as support in order to see that people are able to build very vital solutions that are impactful to the economy at large.
Okay, how do you identify and evaluate potential startups in an underrepresented market like northern Nigeria?
So I think it's linked to a couple of factors. How impactful would the startup be is one of the key things. How innovative is the startup? And then does it communicate to the target market? Because we know for a fact in Nigeria, the literacy rate to illiteracy rate is a little bit is there, and it's a valid point. So you need a startup that can address these challenges so that people across sectors can understand what they are building and can leverage it and use it efficiently. So I think that is usually how we look at a startup and say, okay, this startup is viable for an underserved region and has potential to be very good.
Okay, what impact are you aiming to have on the local ecosystem?
So yeah, I think it's linked to a couple of things: economical growth, people being able to be independent, people being able to leverage technology in order to build solutions. And I think this focus more on the youth, because I feel like they are the ones that are currently with the whole new generation of technology and are building solutions tailored to some of these stuffs. So they are able to be independent early enough and not have to fully rely on white-collar jobs and stuff. And I think anchoring it to the introduction thesis, we tend to see a lot more negative sides when it comes to the youth leveraging the internet as to positive sides of the youth leveraging the internet. And I think it's just because there's no infrastructure as well as support to guide them towards the positive sides that they can leverage. So if there are people that are saying, oh, okay, you're building this, you're good at this, okay, come, we can give you funds that can be private equity, okay, tailor your ID, because even for you to be a criminal, you most likely are going to use some part of your intellectual capacity. So why not use it for a more positive direction?
Okay, so what are some of those challenges that you've been facing here? Because you've talked about the issues of youths using the internet for crime. So what are some of those challenges that...
So I think one of it is knowledge base. So when I mean knowledge, I don't mean like the basic educations in school and all. I feel like, so for a fact, I'm sure even a couple of people that watch this segment today, maybe venture capital this would be the first time they'll be hearing that word. So there's that gap between that industry that needs to be corrected from a knowledge-based perspective. A lot of people don't have this knowledge. Hence, I think that's one of like the main and primary challenges that we face. So we're trying to bridge that knowledge gap, especially for the youth, and doing it from a way that is kind of interesting to them. We understand because we are also within that same age demography, we understand how the youth tend to perceive stuff. If you have to have them sit through long seminars and stuff, you most likely will not communicate as to maybe having a community, build a community around more fun activities, and then pass this information. So I think one of the major challenges has been that knowledge, trying to pass that knowledge across that, okay, there are people in the industry, or there's a certain industry that can help guide whatever your innovations are.
Okay, looking at that, do you have challenge of funding? Is that an issue? Like, do you need maybe government funds or all that?
Okay, yeah, so the way venture capital works, there's always going to be need for funds, but what we've been able to do is, because I built startups early on, I built about 3 or 4 startups, so we were able to get a substantial amount of capital from our own side, but we wanted to impact people, so we had a bootstrap fund where we were able to support people that were building, and I think we supported about 8 startups so far. But now we want to do it larger and at scale, so we currently launched a new fund in order to try and help people back more innovative ideas, that's like give them equity financing and stuff. So the challenge with funding is not particular to us, it's just particular to trying to get those, we call them LPs in the space, interested in the region. Because when you tell an LP that, oh, okay, there's this region, they have immense talents, people are building good solutions, they now start asking you, where is this place? You say Kaduna, or you say Northern Nigeria, and they are like, they are just familiar with places like, they pronounce it funny also, we're familiar with places like Lagos. and Abuja, and maybe Abuja sometimes. So that's one of the challenges. But I feel like the attention has been, the impact and the attention has started to shift a little. We launched our firm in 2022. I think we're one of the first VC firms to publicly launch a fund to service underrepresented regions. And I think since then, there's been a lot of attention, media publicity around it. And I think as at this year, I think 2 new firms launched funds focused on Northern Nigeria. I think one being Aduna Capital, and even the previous governor of Kaduna currently launched a firm, a VC-focused firm. So yes, I think there's been a whole lot of traction around the industry now.
Now, are you just centered on helping young people, or is there an age limit? Do you have like an age grade where you can say, no, we're only focused on young people and we don't care about the elderly?
No, so the thing is, sometimes we have this conversation even in the team, and we talk about the McDonald's story where somebody went on to build something that became one of the global food chain industries at the age of, was it 55 or 58? I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong. So we are not really focused on the age, it's just a case of the innovation. And because when you build within the startup space, you're most likely not building alone, you're building with a team. So there would be a high chances that you could be of a higher age demographic range, but you have younger people within your team. So it's just, for us, it's mainly about the innovation. And I think one of the things we also try to do now, because we figured earlier you can create that knowledge-based direction in terms of the youth and maybe guide their thinking, because there's a whole lot of, there's more press on the negative things. Oh, this person did this person did that, he stole, all of that stuff around the cybersecurity. So we launched something that we are piloting currently in Kaduna State. I think it's starting in October. It's called IPC, Innovative Pitch Contest. So the idea is the way you do secondary school essay competitions, but now we are focused on innovation. So it's more of, you go to schools, you have a quick talk with them, you come back, they submit their ideas as young as they are, like from SS2 though. Because some people are already thinking of solutions, and they submit those ideas, and then we vet them. Those that are good enough, we invite them to come have a pitch about it, and then you win. And I think it's currently about $1,000 pool prize, because we want to try and see how to reward positive use of technology. Okay. I think that's the best way to fix any issues around some of the core issues around cybersecurity challenges also at its root cause.
Okay. How does venture capital now help the economy of Kaduna State?
Oh no. So the thing is, with venture capital, it immensely helps the economy of any region that it's able to take foot in, because then you tend to see that people are getting funded. People are getting funded to build stuff. If somebody gets funded to build something, he's most likely going to employ more people, means more job creation. if more people get jobs, they most likely have salaries, which means they can go to the market and buy more foodstuffs or pay anything they need. You could pay light bill, you could rent houses and stuff. So at large, it's kind of a ripple effect around any economy that it takes shape in. And I think even if you mirror some, not just some states, even if it was some countries, but if you were to mirror a state like Lagos, why Lagos looks like it's a booming and thriving is because of the impact of venture capital initiatives there.
Okay, what type of startups or industries are you most interested in funding within this region?
Oh yeah, so for us, we have a term in the space that is called being sector agnostic. What that means is that we are not really sector focused on, say, we're not going to say it's fintech, it's agrotech, it's edutech. We just look at it when we get pitches. Is it an idea that is important? Is it an idea that is needed? So we tend to be sector agnostic because we feel like some of the most important solutions are not just built around some of the most common things that people build around, such as like fintech. We tend to see that maybe people might need something more in health tech, and it's always region specific. The startup that would do well in a certain region might not be the startup that is needed on another region.
Okay, now how do you ensure that your investments and initiatives create sustainable growth?
Okay, so we have something called like a due diligence process where if we were to give, because a lot of people tend to confuse venture capital financing, which has a couple of funding mediums such as private equity, convertible loans and stuff, as to conventional bank loans. So it's kind of different. And with our own firm, we focus on private equity financing. And what private equity financing means is I think people tend to link its origin to the Islamic financial model, where you're not taking profit.
Yes, zero interest.
Yeah, zero interest. You're not taking profit, but you're working together with how the business grows. If the business grows, you make more money. If the business is failing, doesn't mean that somebody is indebted. So yeah. So because of that nature, which is how I just gave a little history on private equity financing, because sometimes we looked at the roots of how it came about. And because we tend to focus on private equity financing, we need to be very strict in our due diligence process. We can't just hand out those cash anyhow to if we do that, it won't be sustainable. So we have a very thorough due diligence process, and I think that's what helps with that.
Okay, every business, as we say, has risks.
Yeah.
So what risks do you anticipate when dealing with startups?
So we have there's a very scary statistics in our industry that you could back 100 startups and 90 can fail. Yeah, and 10 could go on to be profitable. Yeah, and out of that 10, maybe 2 are the big players. So that's kind of like the general risks, where no matter how your due diligence is put in place, or no matter how it is, there are just some factors that tend to play against any startups or businesses. It could be economical factors, it could be government policies, it could just be that the product is ahead of its time. I think what helps us as a firm is because we have like expert knowledge, so we're able to kind of foresee some of these stuffs and then take measures, but we're also aware of that result. So we just tend to make sure that whatever we're looking at is kind of innovative, because I feel like regardless of whatever the factors is, innovation would always find a way to win. So yeah.
Okay, looking at talking about certain things being ahead of their time, do you think Kaduna is actually fit for this, or are we actually going to be ahead of our time?
No, so yeah, it's the same question I'm sure the people that came into Lagos as venture capital firms received about maybe 15 years ago, because it's a case of, is this region really ready for this? Do they have the right people to build stuff and all of that? So it's a simply answer that I would say yes, not just Kaduna, like imagine, because we focus on underserved and emerging regions in Nigeria and also sub-Saharan Africa. So we're trying to focus on northern Nigeria as it is right now, because there's not so much attention to it. And for a fact, we know that there's talent, there's potential, there's the market size, there's people, which means users. So we're not ahead of our time. I think now is the right time. It's just to make sure the product is tailored properly. And because we have like inside knowledge on building solutions for this product. Because I built like 2 or 3 products that were very successful in this region. I feel like we can use that expertise to guide how we fund the next generation of startups that come out from this region.
Okay, we have been speaking to a cyber expert and analyst, Oluwajimi Aliu Akintunde, on the impact of cyberspace technology on the Nigerian economy. Business Track now takes this break, and we'll be back shortly. Welcome back. This is the Business Track coming to you on KSMC TV. Earlier in the program, we brought to you reports on the impact of cyberspace technology on the Nigerian economy. Up ahead, stock market reports and foreign news tidbits. Please stay with us. And now business news from around the globe. The G20 foreign ministers gathered at the United Nations headquarters, bringing together the world's largest economies in an event open to all 193 United Nations member states. The meeting focused on global governance reforms, hunger, poverty, and sustainable development. In his remarks, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres stressed the need for decisive actions on climate change. And now South Africa's donor-funded climate program has spent over a sixth of its allotted $11.6 billion with a focus on expanding the power grid and preventing its coal mining region slipping into decline as it shifts to renewables. A donor and a South African official involved in the plan who pledged an animosity said about $1.9 billion has been spent, half of it on policies-based loans to the government. Environment Minister Dion George was quoted in the national press this month as saying that German officials had told him South Africa was moving away from fossil fuels too slowly. With this, we wrap it up on today's edition of the program Business Track. Business Track now leaves you with this business quote by Peter Drucker. A business enterprise must continue beyond the lifetime of the individual or the generation to be capable of producing its contributions to economy and society. Join us next week for another edition of the program. I am Peter Aliu, thanking you for being with us.